Hey, what's up, Black Knight Nation? I'm Sal Interdinal, your host for a recap of the Army's 37-29 win over UTSA on Friday night. Big win for Army. First off, the Black Knight Nation podcast is brought to you by Higher Echelon. Higher Echelon is a company run by Joe Ross. Joe Ross is a former Army fullback, former Army assistant coach, former Army officer, guest on this podcast. And we have back the return of Kel Walker. Kel, it's been a while, but we love getting you on here breaking down games, and we appreciate you joining us tonight.
Hey, I appreciate the opportunity, Sal. I really do.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, that game last night, I'm telling you, I had to catch up on it a little bit. I was a little under the weather yesterday. I had to catch up on it, but what a win for Army, going into UTSA. A team that is definitely on the rise in college football, a team that plays well at home, a team that didn't have their star quarterback, Frank Harris. But regardless, they have a ton of athletes on the field, and Army came away, got up early, stayed up by 2 touchdowns for a while. UTSA tries to fight back, but Army makes enough plays to win this game. What were your first thoughts about this win and maybe how big it was for the program? Because you've been involved in a couple big wins in the program, so how big do you think this one was?
First, I'm going to say, we played UTSA a couple times throughout my time at West Point and being on the team. UTSA always been a pretty good competitor for us, but ultimately the better team wins. Going into the game, I kind of figured Army was going to battle or have a hard time a little bit with some of the jitters they had in the first game. Open up the offense, see if they could get the ball to the athletes, and I kind of thought the defense was going to struggle a little bit because UTSA has a mobile quarterback, but he was out. They always had a mobile quarterback. They had a phenomenal running back. The O-line didn't look as solid as they did years before, but I thought Army was going to have a tough one, but I ultimately thought they were going to come out on top like they did. But they did exactly what I expected them to do. They opened up the offense. The offensive coordinator with Drinkle and Coach Muffin combined, they got the ball into the athletes' hands, and Bryson Daly looked like a stud yesterday. So he looked good.
Bryson was playing in his home state, and he at first in that first drive, maybe the passes weren't exactly on target or anything. But I'm telling you, Kel, when you watch him play, right, and you watch how tough he is, and he, with all due respect to past Army quarterbacks, he's a little bit different. He's a little bit thicker. He's a little bit bigger than the Army quarterbacks of the past. He's going to take the ball up the middle. He's going to deliver the hit. I'm telling you, how many tackles did he break in this game? I lost track of how many tackles he broke in this game. Second, third, fourth efforts, picking up the – you know what? I think a lot of his runs might not have gotten the first down, but they got Army to like a 3rd and 2. They got Army to a manageable, conversion play. So, can't say really enough. That first game, maybe there were some jitters there for his first start, maybe. Mm-hmm. Second game against Delaware State, you get your feet down, you make some big plays in the passing game. Mm-hmm. This game, what an effort running the football. I wrote this. I'm going to post a quick thoughts story probably within the next hour or so. The way he operates this offense was impressive. Dude, you've been in games where you ran 80-plus plays, right?
Right.
0 penalties, 0 turnovers. They threw the ball 18 times, no sacks.
Right.
Does it get any cleaner, Kel? I don't know.
For Bryson Daly, it's always nerve-wracking when you had to command anything, right? He commanded an offense where some guys played with different quarterbacks in the past, like TT and Jabari Laws and other quarterbacks that came before Bryson Daly. But I understand why he was nervous at first, especially in the first game. And I think this game he actually found his position in the offense, which is to command the offense. I think he got confident. As the game went on, as the season went on. You're going to see him 2 games down the line. He's going to be way more confident in this game. But I think he ultimately found out who he wanted to be for this team, and he got something to prove. We have running quarterbacks before in the past who could really run the ball, and they can throw the ball, like Kelvin Hopkins, right? Yeah. And Bryson Daly, I feel like I got something to prove for this team. I'm gonna make sure this ball gets to my playmakers, and we're gonna win the game. And that's what he showed. And that's what's most impressive about Bryson Daly thus far. He's able to remain poised, remain calm, and get the job done. And he got a little swagger to him too. That's what I like about it.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Kelvin, right? I know Kelvin's one of your good buds. So Bryson Daly, 100 passing yards, 100 rushing yards in the same game. First Army player since Kelvin Hopkins to do it in 2019 against Tulane. So, I mean, that's 4 seasons ago. You know, that's a while back. And, you know, Kelvin was a good back then. You run the triple or the flex bone, whatever you want to call it, and you're a dual threat quarterback, right? And that's what kind of Bryson was recruited to do, too. To play that's what Army recruited back in the day. Now they might recruit a little bit more guys who run the spread and maybe throw a little bit more. But, I mean, Bryson was, man, I tell you, the toughness, that last touchdown, now I could be wrong. I think it was on 4th down, his final touchdown. Not only did he convert the 4th down, he gets it into the end zone too, and pretty much it is a game sealer. He picked up a 1st down and on the last possession. That was really tough. And like you say, when you can get the ball into your playmaker's hands, Hayden Reed.
Yeah, he's a good player. Hayden Reed's a good player. I think he had 20 carries, 107 yards. He averaged 5.3 yards a carry, 1 touchdown. I mean, he showed up. He showed up yesterday. He showed up in a big way, and he went up and got the ball a lot of the times. I mean, he was running. He was running yesterday. So
I saw his first carry where he bounced off the line and went to the sidelines, and actually he's looking for contact. Like he's not like he's looking to hit somebody, and a guy actually like flips him out of bounds, and he just gets right up and goes right to the huddle for some more.
Yeah.
I mean, I wrote about him at the beginning of the year, right before the season started. I'm like, this guy could be I think that he fits what they're trying to do. Maybe you could speak on this a little bit more from the offensive perspective. When you're running a shotgun offense and you can have a guy as versatile as Reed who can run in between the tackles, get to the outside, be physical. I thought him and Markel Johnson were a good fit for this offense at the running backs. And I mean, yesterday they certainly proved to be. Hayden had a big game. Markel Johnson came up clutch in a couple situations too. I mean, I want to ask you, because I know you had this play called a couple times. I believe you had that halfback option where you were doing the throwing, right, in a game or no?
Yeah, I did a couple times. I never completed a pass though. I'll tell you that.
How hard is that for a running back? Is it hard, or can you walk us through a play call like that? I mean,
first of all, it's nerve-wracking because I mean, as a running back, you naturally want to run a ball, especially if you quarterbacks are poised. They can sit back in the pocket and do read progressions and actually wait for a wide receiver to get open. For a running back, that's out of the norm for you. So I'm pretty sure he wanted to run as soon as he got the ball, but to sit back and wait for his option to open up and throw the ball, I mean, that's extremely hard. When I did it a couple times, I threw it out. I tried to throw it to the receiver. I just couldn't see nobody, or I ran it or whatever because I wasn't as patient. But I mean, he showed patience and he trusted the play. He trusted the play that it was going to work, and it worked.
And that play call was perfect. I mean, it was the perfect time to run it. UTSA wasn't expecting it at all. And Isaiah Alston was wide open. And 55 yards, I believe, was the play. Man, not bad when you complete your first pass of your college career for 55, man. And that was a huge play. I think the next play they threw to Noah Short, a touchdown pass. Kel, I know maybe we've had this in the past, but 2 plays, 2 passes, 80 yards, touchdown. I mean, that's what I'm not saying we're going to see that every drive from Army, but it's nice to have that in your back pocket.
I mean, that's the power of the spread, right? Especially the way Army's running the spread. I mean, you can run triple option out of the spread, and I saw that a little bit of that yesterday. But when you going under center and you doing play action under center and regular triple option, it's kind of hard to do throwing pass, touchdown, or 2 plays down the field. All the drives we had back in the day was 90-yard drives where we suck and win, and we going pound for pound, 2 yards at a time. But the spread allows your offense to open up a defense and find his weak spots and weak points in the defense. Like I said, my hat's off to the offensive coordinator, my hats off to Drinkle, my hats off to Monken, because they actually found the weakness of UTSA defense.
Yeah.
And this is what I like about Army's offense now. I mean, I know you mentioned Hayden Reed finding contact. making guys miss in the open. I mean, everybody who touched the ball yesterday was doing that. That's the beautiful thing about the spread offense. You have room to actually show your athleticism and showcase your talent. And when you got your coaches who give you the ball, I mean, and your teammates looking at you with the ball, I mean, you're gonna make somebody miss. You're gonna have the swagger on the field. You got that confidence. It's something that we haven't seen from Army in a long time. I know they ran the spread back in the day before I got there, way before I got there.
Yeah.
And the triple option, man, is sideline to sideline unless you're a fullback and a quarterback. So, I mean, Army fans should relish an idea that, or the fact that these guys are actually showcasing their talent.
Yeah.
Because that's important.
You might have been like me, right? I mean, 2 weeks ago, the Louisiana Monroe game, you're thinking, okay, what's the future going to hold in this offense? They didn't score a touchdown, right? I mean, they were a little bit vanilla, to be honest, right? They were a little bit too predictable. And then, the Delaware State game comes, and it's a, for the most part, it's a scrimmage to a point, right? A good game for you to get what you want to do down, and they did that. And now to see them evolve into this UTSA game, and with all due respect, Frank Harris did not play, right, the quarterback for UTSA, but that Roadrunner defense was pretty darn good. I mean, they only allowed 30 points in their first 2 games total, and they had a lot of guys. They're going to have guys that play in the NFL on that defense, maybe 2 or 3, and I bet you they wanted to tap out after the first 2 drives. I mean,
yeah, I'm not sure what difference it would have made if they started quarterback. What's his name? Frank Harris. I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm not sure what difference it would have made if he would have started or played the game. Army played perfect sound football yesterday, and that's ultimately what allowed them to win. I mean, they got talent. Don't get me wrong. They have the confidence. They got the coaches who believe in them. The coaches believe, but they had 0 turnovers, 0 mistakes. And whenever you don't turn the ball over, usually in a game, I mean, you're going to come out as victor, right? You're going to come out on top. So I'm not sure what difference would have made if that quarterback would have started, because I saw the defense actually attacking the ball, going for the ball. I didn't see guys just trying to make a tackle, get their stats up or whatever. I seen guys knocking balls loose, knocking the ball out of people's hands. The running backs for UTSA made a mistake by holding the ball too high.
Yeah.
And that's a testament to how smart these guys are on defense. And their coaches coaching them the week leading up to UTSA. Hey, go for the ball. We watched this on film all week. And that's what led to our Army victory.
Yeah. Yeah. Jimmy Charlo forced a turnover on the second play of the game for UTSA.
Yep.
Recovery, and Army scores a touchdown right after that.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Charlo had a nice late in the probably fourth quarter. They threw a seam route to the tight end, trying to get the tight end on a deep pass, and Charlo, 20 yards deep into the secondary, he's running stride by stride with the tight end, forces offensive pass interference on the tight end. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's not many guys in the country that can go and do that can go force a fumble in the first quarter, and then, man, he's having a good year. And you're right. The defense is kind of rallying around each other, right? There are no Andre Carters on this defense. There are no Markel Broughtons on this defense.
Nope.
They're just 11 guys playing together. Yeah. And, to be honest, they're going to have their times where they, there's some lapses where UTSA had some big plays.
Yeah.
It's a missed tackle here. It's a maybe a fit or a good move by an offensive player. Mm-hmm. And a good throw, I guess, on the Hail Mary. But other than that, it's been pretty solid for their defense. And man, their schedule, Kel. What do you think? What do you think about playing the schedule that they're playing this year? Back in the day when you were playing, because UTSA is pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Now Syracuse, Boston. So in the next 5 weeks, they play 3 Power Fives. Right. They play at Syracuse, who was winning tonight against Purdue. They're going to be 3-0, I think.
Right.
Boston College at home. Maybe it's a down year for Boston College. Troy, no slouch as a group of 5 team.
Nope.
And then at LSU.
Right.
And you played in those big games against the big Power 5 teams.
Right.
Man, really tough schedule, but this is a good start. This is a good start.
It's a good start, but before I answer that question, I'm gonna go back to the Army defense.
Sure.
like you said, they don't have a Marquel Barr, Andre Carter right now, but they do have a Bo Nicholas Paul. They have a Lowen. They have a Cam Jones. Jabari Moore. These guys like rally. I think the defense is starting to rally around each other a little bit more, and I think they started playing with swagger because of these guys are actually in the backfield on that defense. I mean, the pick six that Bo Nicholas Paul had against Louisiana Monroe and he dove in the end zone, like that's swagger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That fires your defense up. And that honestly put fire to everybody on defense. Okay, he's balling, let me ball too. And I think they starting to rally around that confidence that these guys are bringing. So I think the defense is just going to get better and better as the season go on, and as these guys kind of build with each other. But to answer your question, it's going to be a tough schedule just because they play it back to back to back. I do think Army could be a contender or competitor against these teams. Maybe I'm biased because it's my alma mater and I played there, but I mean, I think Monken, any offense that Monken has can go against anybody in the world, in the country. I mean, we seen that when we played Oklahoma and Michigan, and I mean, I'm not gonna count Notre Dame. They kind of wiped the field with us, but those other teams, we saw when we played those guys, we can compete with anybody. It's just about putting that extra effort to win. When they play Syracuse at home or on the road?
No, they go to the Dome on Saturday. Yeah.
Okay, so when they play Syracuse is going to be a hard team to beat. Syracuse about to be 3-0. It's going to be a hard team to beat. I think when they play Boston College, the biggest thing that the offense is going to struggle with, or the whole team is going to struggle with, is time of possession of the ball.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Jeff Monken pride and joy is to hold on to the ball longer than the other team has it. I mean, there's other game where we had the ball 45 minutes, and the other team had a total of 15.
Yeah.
Like Boston College can run the ball. I mean,
Yeah.
they're a running team. So whoever holds the ball longer in that game, I think is going to come out as victor. And LSU is going to be the test of time. I think LSU going to be the test of time. So, I mean, LSU not the same as they were when Joe Burrow played there, or Honey Badger played there, but they're still an athletic team, and they're in the SEC, bigger, stronger guys.
Yeah.
But if we play our game, 0 turnovers, 0 mistakes, like we did against UTSA, I think we got a chance of beating them.
Yeah, no doubt. Guys, if you're watching right now, you have any questions for Kel or I, please send them in. We'll post them. We hope to have Steve Anderson on soon, and maybe even Seth Mendelson dropping by. Yeah, I'm really interested in, because we've talked about on this podcast before about what's missing from Jeff Monken's resume is that win over a really historic Power 5 program, and maybe that's LSU. I mean, that's a month away. That's some time ahead, and maybe if Army can get on a roll here and maybe pull off a win at Syracuse, beat Boston College at home, then you got Troy. Certainly a winnable game at home, but I mean, people were thinking that when they had that stumble at Louisiana Monroe, what's going to happen in the season? Now they're 2-1, and they could be 3-0 right now. To be honest with you, they should be 3-0 right now, and
they should. But man, we talk about this stuff in the Army all the time. Like, in the Army, we go into field environments, we train, and we got BFAs on our rifles shooting blank rounds. And, we are simulating what wartime could be like. I mean, that's different from actually getting shot at, right? I mean, you put us in war after that. I mean, a lot of people are going to get scared. A lot of people are going to run, but a lot of people are going to respond. It's the same thing with any competition. I mean, sports, you practice for a whole spring. This Army offense practice for the whole spring. The team practice for the whole spring. Mat drills, all that stuff. Fall camp. I mean, they feeling good about themselves, and then they go to an actual game on a Saturday. It's different. It's a different feeling. Okay, now we got to execute.
Yeah.
Now we got to execute. Some people's eyes get big and they make mistakes. That's a part of the game. They could be 3-0 right now, but ultimately mistakes hindered our chances to be 3-0. And I feel like they got it out of their system now, especially against the game against UTSA.
Yeah. So only really one turnover since in the last 2 games, and defense is doing its job to force a turnover here and there, and it's working. And now, I wanted to talk about the offensive line real quick, because sometimes those guys don't get enough credit. Coming into the season, they had, I looked this up, they had 8 guys who have started the game on the offensive line coming back this year, led by Connor Finucane, who, that guy, you could put that guy anywhere on the line, and he'll produce. He's their best offensive lineman in my opinion. I don't think it's even a question really. But so they've had some injuries, and they've reshuffled a little bit. They're going on their offensive line against UTSA again with a pretty experienced front back, a freshman center, a right guard in Lucas Scott making the second start of his career, and a left tackle in David Hoyt making the first start of his career. And then when you hear Jeff Traylor, UTSA coach, in his press conference after the game, he's saying that Army's offensive line manhandled them. And they did. I mean, they owned the game. I mean, to me, Kel, if I'm giving out a game ball, right, or I'm giving out an MVP for the UTSA game, you can say Bryson Daly, right? You can pick Bryson Daly. You can pick Caden Reed, maybe. Maybe you can go on the defensive side and pick Jimmy Charlo. We didn't even talk about Jackson Powell's sack and the final drive of the UTSA, forcing them out where they had a punt.
Yeah.
I personally, and I'm not usually this guy, going to give it to the offensive line in this game. I'm going to give the game ball to the offensive line in this game. That's my opinion. I don't know where you would go with that, but I just think that they really set the tone for the game, no doubt.
No, I would agree with you with that. I would definitely. I mean, you can't move the ball without the offensive line. And like I said before, I tell everybody this: like every year, our Army offensive line has a leader on it, and it seems like Finucane is the leader on Army offense this year. Like, when you take a charge of the mob, it's your job to empower everybody from the left and right of you, who's up there on the front, to do their job. And it seemed like he's doing a great job leading those guys. I mean, Sam Barzak as well is on the offensive line. He seemed like he's doing a great job influencing the guys to the left and right of him and leading up the field. And yeah, those guys definitely deserve their flowers. I know a lot of times when we were playing back in the day, like, you know, the offensive line really held us down, and sometimes they didn't get their flowers, but these guys are making it happen up front. And I want to see what they're going to do against a Troy. I want to see what they're going to do against the LSU defensive line, or, you know, Boston College or Syracuse. I think if they continue this momentum up front, the Army has a great chance to be successful against these Power 5 teams.
Yeah, good point. And Kel, these guys are bigger now, right? They're all over 300 pounds, basically. You know, I mean, David Hoyt is 315, I think. Lucas Scott 305. Finucane was 320. He might be a little lighter than that. Connor Finucane's getting some looks. Like, scouts are going to Army practices to look at him and Josh Lingenfelter, and those are the two that I know of definitely that scouts are taking a look at. Right. And you have multiple teams already up at West Point giving them a look. What was I going to say? I wonder if I was just going to say that Bryson Daly, man, either today or tomorrow, maybe he does a little DoorDash for his offensive line. Maybe, I don't know. Bring some Chipotle. I don't know. What do offensive linemen eat, Kel, these days? I don't know. Something like that.
I don't know, man. If it was a regular college and these kids got NIL deals, I say, man, get everybody a moped or something. I don't know. Get a whole offensive line a moped, a four-wheeler or something, so they can ride in style with the practice, because that hill was a killer. I'm not going to lie to you. But, I mean, hey, yeah, maybe he can order some pizza for those guys and just celebrate them. I'm pretty sure the leader that Bryson Daly is and who he's showing us he is, I'm pretty sure they did something for that O-line. And made no mistake about it, the O-line get down. They like to party. So, and that's every year. That's every Army offense. So I'm pretty sure they already celebrating with each other anyway. But, yeah.
Yeah. I I don't know if you caught it at the end of the game, Coach Monken, and you know the fire that he has. You witnessed the fire that Coach Monken has and the passion that he has, right? But after that game, pumping the fist. You know, I think he chest bumped an offensive lineman after the game. I know that when he was in the locker room, Army football's X or Twitter account showed Chris Frey, I believe it was, just giving Coach Monken a huge bear hug. Yeah. You know, I mean, you've been in those locker rooms after big wins, you know, and in the Service Academy games, especially what that locker room is like, what the brotherhood is like. And, you know, Coach Monken may be, you know, he coaches with a lot of fire. He could be, you know, tough on players sometimes, I'm guessing, when you're coaching with that much passion. But, you know, you talk to him and he talks about the love that he has for the players, the love that he has for the team. And when you see it in the locker room like that, it's just different to me. You know, it's just different to me.
It is different. I would say it is completely different. The fire he has now is completely different from what he had when we were going through the academy. I mean, because our offense was based off schemes. Our offense was based off our scheme is better than your scheme. Our front line is better than your front line. But this offense, I mean, is based off who players are better, essentially. I mean, if you got a player like Isaiah Austin who can catch the ball and score a touchdown with it, take it for 50, or a quarterback who can throw the ball well, a running back who can actually make people miss an open space, then as a coach, you're going to trust these guys a lot more because it's not based off schemes. It's based off what can you do on the field to produce. So I think his fire is genuine. I think he actually loving on these guys for who they are and what they bring to the table, not just based off an offensive scheme that they probably cooked up. So yeah, I know he's excited. I texted him the other day, told him after the ULM game, and told him just keep his head up and keep going. I mean, it's the first game in the season, and it showed. I mean, I know he got on them about the mistakes they made in ULM game, and it shows in UTSA. Yeah. And when you a coach and you actually got guys who are willing to listen and be coachable, I mean, what coach not going to be fired up after a game, after a victory like that, a team victory at that?
That's a good point. That's a great point with the team victory. They everything across the board. And you know what? The ball security, right? He was talking about how, he was pulling guys who didn't have two hands on the ball against Delaware State that weren't running with two hands on the ball. Mm-hmm. And I know I've seen practices where if somebody had unfortunately a fumble during practice, right? You got run up the steps of Mikey Stadium, right? As I've been up there. I've done that. And I don't know if I want to do that again, too much. So, I mean, that's accountability, too. It's accountability, right?
Yeah. A turnover has the ability to make or break a game, especially a close game, and especially when you pride yourself on time and possession of the ball, right? It has the ability to make or break a game. So, I mean, guys fumbling, it's a part of the game. Don't get me wrong, but if we can mitigate it by any means, we are. So, I mean, Monken just taking his chances and we're not taking any chances with fumbling and turning over the ball. I actually never had a problem with that at all. Running up the Mikey Stadium, all that stuff. I think that's a great coaching point. Hold on to the ball. Treat it like your baby. Hold on to your baby. Hold on to your loaf of bread. So I think he's doing a good job in that. And like I said, Delaware game, the Delaware State game compared to the UTSA game, I mean, they had 0 turnovers, 0 fumbles, 0 mistakes up front. I mean, that's a testament to Monken actually getting these guys about holding on to the ball. I know Ijan had a little trouble with that against Delaware State, but to see him come back and respond, because he took a huge hit as soon as he got pitched the ball. He took a huge hit and lost for 6. I don't know a lot of guys would have held on to the ball in that situation.
Yeah.
I don't know. It could have been coughed up, and it could have been a fumble and went the other way. But obviously he's coachable. He took what Monken told him, and he held on to the ball. And that's the only thing you can ask from your players.
Yeah. You had some social media correspondence with Ijan, right? Kind of telling us, just giving them some positive.
Absolutely. Ijan is a phenomenal player. In my personal opinion, Ijan is a phenomenal player. I think he has a speed. I think he has a talent. I think he has determination to actually make an impact on his offense. I also been in his shoes before. It's something to be said when you in your head too much and you worry about not making mistakes. Sometimes we make mistakes when we try not to do it. I think once he just continues to start playing freely and start feeling a little bit more confidence from the coaches give him a little bit more boost and put the ball in his hands a little bit more, I think he's going to make a huge impact on his offense, in my personal opinion.
Yeah. We were talking a little bit about that, with, Ijan, there's still a lot out there for him this season, right? As far as making plays. Tyrell Robinson, hopefully he gets back on the field soon. Those are 2 guys to even add to this offense. And when you look at what they have already with Isaiah Austin, Hayden Reed stepping up, a little bit more Markel Johnson, Noah Short, a guy who was playing like the Apache, hybrid position last year. He's now making plays as a wide receiver. That play that he had where he had to adjust to the ball and make a catch in the air.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good play for a guy who played defense last year,
Athleticism. I think Army community, the whole Army community is I think they're shocked. You know, I think they're shocked by the athleticism of our football players right now.
Hmm.
The reason why they are because I mean, like I said, the offense before the triple option under the center was all scheme based. It really wasn't based on who's the better running back, who's the better slot back. It was scheme based and holding on to the ball. But now you actually get to see the athleticism of these cadets, these football players. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I was a little shocked when I saw him go up there and get the ball. You know, but these coaches are giving them the opportunity, the space and opportunity to actually execute properly and show the world that hey, it's talent here on the banks of the Hudson. There's talent here. You know.
And we're recruiting the scheme that you're playing in, right? I think that talent, that bar is going to go up because you're going to get different. You're not necessarily looking for the big bruising fullback anymore, you know, or the tall, the guy who can block at wide receiver to the point. You're looking for that slot receiver, right? Like the Noah Shorts. You're looking for that. I don't know what, not scat back, but just a single back that could do a little bit of everything, right? That's a little bit more versatile and stuff. Right. And I think that. Man, I tell you, I didn't say this on this podcast last week. I wanted to add it. So I was on the sidelines pregame for the Delaware State game. And you know how the prep school guys line up on the side there before the game.
Yeah.
I'm standing next to a fullback. Well, I apologize, guys. A running back. There are no fullbacks anymore in this offense, right? I'm standing next to a running back from the prep school team. And I'm telling you, the dude is like 6'3". He's about 225 easily. I'm like, Will Stallings is his name. He's a guy who was originally committed to Tennessee and now is at Army Prep. And when Will Stallings gets to Army, I'm telling you, watch out because this guy's gonna remind you a little bit of Anthony Atkins, who's now playing at UCLA, who had a touchdown for UCLA today and like 90-something yards in their game. He's going to remind people of like an Anthony Atkins type. And that's the type of, like, I guess that's what I'm getting to, the guys that they can now recruit to this program. And it's going to, man, maybe I think the bar is definitely only going to go up from here. I mean, from this season, obviously it's the first year of this shotgun. And people are going to say, oh, it's going to take some – Kel, it's going to take some games for them to find like this shotgun, right? Well, I guess the UTSA game is proof that they're finding it.
Right.
They're getting there. They're pretty much right there in game 3.
Right.
And I mean, I think it's on track faster than I thought. And I don't know about you, what you thought.
I mean, for the Army fans out there, Army community, beggars can't be choosers. We can't. I mean, I've been on both sides of the fence. I've been in the games playing under the triple option, and I've been on the opposite side watching games from the stands as a cadet and as an old grad. And we always begged for big time plays. We begged for athleticism. We wanted the wows and the oohs and the ahs in Army offense. And now that we got it, like it might take some while to click, but it seemed like it's clicking already. These guys are executing. It's probably the offense some of these guys ran in high school. You know, which is typical around the world. Triple option is starting to become obsolete. So when you talk about guys at prep schools, 6'2", 225 pounds, who can actually read blocks and maneuver through a defensive backs or make it to that next level, like it's only going to bring stardom to these guys, and it's going to give us those oohs and ahs that we need. So, I mean, I'm excited to see somebody run a ball. I mean, when you were describing that guy at prep school, it reminded me of Fred Cooper. Like, this is stuff that we needed. This is the guy. These are the guys we needed years ago. This is an offense we needed to start running years ago, and the fact that we're running it now is amazing to me. These guys are actually making plays.
What do you think Fred Cooper would be like in this offense? He would be.
Come on, man. Nah, I think he'll be a superstar in this offense. Fred was always a zone back, someone who could read blocks, and he has explosiveness to get to that next level. And he was a big guy who could truck people, run them over, or shifty guy and make you miss.
Yeah,
I think he'll be a superstar in this offense.
People forget a little bit about Fred. I think he played his freshman year at Army and then stayed at the academy. And we have Steve Anderson here, and welcome Steve in. Steve, we have Kel Walker back on the Black Knight Nation podcast.
Kel, what's up?
Man, not much, chilling, living the dream. How you doing?
Doing all right, man. Hanging
That's
in
what's,
there.
that's what's up, man.
Yeah, we just been talking about that game, Steve, and a pretty impressive, effort from Army from start to finish. UTSA battled back a little bit, but Army certainly didn't flinch. Man, we were texting a little bit after that Hail Mary pass at halftime, and we were saying, okay, here comes UTSA. But I mean, phenomenal win by the Black Knights. What were your thoughts when you were watching that game?
Yeah, I mean, it was a complete game. 60 minutes. It was a lot of fun to watch. Yeah, I mean, obviously, look, my dad used to tell me this when I first started playing college football. He's like, Steve, if you ever get beat, just tackle the guy. It's only 15 yards in college. Like, pass interference is 15 yards. That's all they're going to get. All right, there's, guys crossing your face. And he's about to beat you because he got the stop. Just knock him down. It's 15 yards. It's better than a touchdown.
Right.
So that's just been that's been ingrained in my head since I first started playing college football. Was even high school football, same rules of high school, at least it was back in the 2000s. So yeah, I get it. You try to knock the ball down. No need to try to get a flag. Blah blah. But man, that was crazy. But I was just really impressed with what the offense was able to do and how they looked and how they executed and everything to, a testament to taking that first game and realizing there's work to be done and coming out these next 2 weeks and, almost, not to, look, everybody's hot on Dion right now, but taking it personal, right? Making it mean something more than just, it's a sport. It's why I'm at the academy. It's what I do for my job here at the academy. Taking it personal that we underperformed during week 1. And now it's time to show everyone else what we've actually been putting the work into since spring ball, since camp, since the beginning, since we started this team, getting the plebes, the freshmen in. So that's really what I felt this game meant. Now I know they didn't have their starting quarterback. You can say that meant this, that, and the other. Was it worth 8 points? Maybe. Was it worth 10 points? Maybe. But bottom line is those guys. You already said it, Sal. They didn't flinch. They took hits. They gave hits, and they played 60 minutes of football.
Yeah. It was like a box. Well, I'm not really. I should be more of a boxing fan, but it was like a boxing fight that goes 10, 12 rounds. And every time they need to fight back, they fought back and they made a play. They made a play.
I mean, Sal, this was just what you love to see about Army. 45 minutes of the ball.
Yeah, sir.
Baby. That's what I'm talking about.
Sir.
All right. I don't care they scored. What I don't even know what was it, 27 points or whatever. I don't care they scored that in 15 minutes.
37.
37. That's right. I mean, no. I'm talking about UTSA.
Oh, 29. Yeah, 29.
Yeah, 29. I don't care that happened in 15 minutes. That's incredible. Hold on 1 second.
83 plays. Yeah, it was really just great. Kel, I don't know if you have to step out. Right? If you have to step out, just feel free. If you have anything else you want to offer before you go about the game, please do. And it was great having you on for your thoughts.
I appreciate it. I mean, like I said before, Sal, beggars can't be choosers. So I'm going to say this to all Army fans right now. We wanted the oohs and ahs years ago when we was running triple option under the center. We got the oohs and ahs now. We got the guys who actually can make plays. And it's a testament to the coaches trusting them and their athleticism. These guys are making plays in the open field, making guys miss, embarrassing people, running through them. This is what we want an Army offense to look like. And the fact that they had 0 turnovers, 0 fumbles, 0 mistakes, especially up front, I mean, that's going to take Army offense to the next level. They're going to be able to compete with schools like Boston College, Syracuse, Troy, and LSU if they continue this momentum and also minimize the mistakes up front as well as everybody on the field. I'm excited to see what Army football does this whole season. I'll be tuning in. I'm excited to see the guys compete, execute. And I'm excited to see what Jeff Monk can draw up and the offensive coordinator draw up. I'll probably be at a couple games, try to make the Army Air Force game. I think Kelvin Hopkins' wedding is that day, so I probably won't be able to make it. But I'm excited, man. And I appreciate you having me on here, and I'm more than down to get on here again to share my thoughts on Army football. But yeah, I just can't wait. Go Army.
Yeah, open invitation, Kel. We got Steve on the defensive side, we got you on the offensive side, and we got me just setting you guys up and stuff. So that'd be great. That'd be great to have you back, man. Thanks for joining us tonight.
I appreciate you. All right, guys, take care.
Later, Kel.
See you.
Yeah, great to have Kel back on. That was my special guest tonight, Steve. I'm like, let me get the offensive side of the ball represented because I was a little under the weather yesterday. I was just rewatching the game today just to get a little bit of a feel. And, I was listening to it a little bit yesterday. And that first drive, man, my goodness, man. You get a start like that on the road and do that. And then just the way they finished that drive. And it's like, okay, they came ready to play. And, man, that was –
I think we finally saw the confidence in the play calling. And the confidence in the quarterback to complete those plays, and the offensive guys it takes time. It takes time to new offense going, and it was clicking. It was good, and I feel like that this is what we can look forward to the rest of the season.
We Coach Muckin said murderous row schedule, right? He said this kind of starts it. You don't really get that much. You get a bye week after Syracuse before Boston College. So if they can, Syracuse is probably 3-0 after tonight. If they can go up to Syracuse and be competitive in the game and it comes down to the fourth quarter or maybe it doesn't. Maybe they have the start that they do at UTSA, but they know they can play with teams now, I guess, with this offense. And the defense, keep the defense fresh, right, Steve? You can appreciate that, keeping the defense fresh. And Nate Woody's been shuffling guys in and out and getting a lot of people playing time, whether guys have been banged up or just rotating guys in. And, guys like Jackson Powell coming up big yesterday with the sack. He started the last two games. Eric Ford made a nice tackle where he snuffed out like a pass in the flat for no gain. There's multiple guys making plays. And, man, I tell you, after watching that game last night, now certainly changed from the game. We were a little too hard. Steve, I'm going to admit on this podcast, I was a little bit too hard on the team after the opener. I was a little bit too hard on Bryce Daly.
No, absolutely, we were all too hard, and I think that's back to Brandon's point after the first game. It takes about 4 weeks to know what you got this year because you'll have that survey size of by then all the teams have shown who they are. So
yeah,
after the first 4 weeks, you've played teams that everybody thought were good, not good, teams that you knew weren't good and you beat them that you're supposed to, or teams that were good that you didn't know and you beat them or you lost to them. So we'll see next week with Syracuse. I think Syracuse is a real good team, real good defense, and I think it'll kind of be telling about our season. How well we play that game, going forward. So I absolutely, I'll admit, super hard, but at the same time, it's that same pressure that the team felt after the game that they knew they could have played better. And not to say that it was us that did it, but I'm just saying they felt that they knew they could have played better against ULM, or they knew they could have played better, or practiced better or whatever. And now that, we're sitting here 2-1, feeling good, and it's back to the drawing board. Feel good tonight, 24 hours, and then let's get back to work and start getting after Syracuse.
Yeah, they had an extra day. They have an extra day to prepare now with that Friday game. They got in probably late last night. They have today to, I guess, just kind of – but then they'll get back at it Sunday. And That's going to help a little bit. Syracuse is up by 15 right now against Purdue and late in the fourth quarter, likely to go to 3-0. And I was just thinking about how just with the team and the way they responded. Hayden Reed and Bryson Daly, both in the press conferences last night, said something about the naysayers after the first game. And Bryson Daly said, hey, they were warranted after the first game. But Hayden Reed, I think Seth asked a question to Hayden Reed about the momentum from last week and how they were able to carry it into this week. And now let's see if they can carry the UTSA's game's momentum into Syracuse in the Dome. Now that environment, they were making it like a big deal about the environment in the Alamo Dome, where I don't even know what the attendance was, Steve, but I'm telling you, the environment in the former Carrier Dome at Syracuse is going to be a little bit amped up than the Alamo Dome. So at least they got a little bit of a taste of that on last night, but that's going to be a different environment to play in. And, I don't think Army's played there since 96. The 96 team and Donovan McNabb. I'm pretty sure this is the first game at Syracuse since then. So, man, I'd love to get some players from that 96 team on maybe this week, see what we can do. But, it's going to be a challenge, a bigger challenge than UTSA, no doubt. I mean, you're taking that next step. With all due respect, UTSA is a good group of 5 team, maybe possibly top 5 group of 5 team, but this Syracuse is another level. So I don't know. You played in the games against the Power Fives, but that's probably something that motivates a player, right? When you get to play in those games like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be a really good experience, but I don't think there'll be any lack of confidence or anything going into the game. I think they're excited for this opportunity, and they're going to try to seize it as much as possible. But yeah, it's definitely bitter. I mean, the guys are bigger. It is a little different playing against those teams, and you don't realize it, because you just see, stats on a paper, the size here, size there. But I just always remember the biggest difference wasn't the skill players; it was the size of the offensive line. Was always what I remember when I went up against Notre Dame and the teams like that. Like, I just remember being like, man, all these guys are giants. But like, it didn't affect the way I played. I just remember thinking that, like, going there, like, man, these guys are they're all like 6'3", 6'5" giants. So, but yeah,
because on defense, real quick, that the defensive line for Army, they're shuffling guys, right? They're playing about 6 to 9 guys a game pending, and they're a little lighter. I mean, well, like a guy like Kyle Lewis is 275 playing nose tackle, but he's quick enough and making play. He's making some plays in there, Kyle Lewis.
Well, I'm sure it was plenty humid down in the Alamo Dome when we went down there too. I'm sure it was a little more humid than it is in West Point, New York. So
yeah,
it's good to have that. It's good to get as many different players and as many reps, especially at the defensive line early in the season, and have success. Plus, I mean, it's a completely different. You have to attack it differently when you have the 295, 300-pound nose tackle who's going to hit you in your skull every time, versus the 265, 270-pound nose tackle that's going to swim you or, use your hands better. So guys think that it's not, it's a disadvantage being that size, but when you have multiple guys that are hitting the center differently, there's no real, it's like there's no real rhythm of I'm blocking the same guy over and over. I'm blocking the same type of guy over and over, right? So there's none. Oh, here's a 300-pound nose tackle. He's just going to lean on me, try to hold the guard, and I just got to stick with him for 3 to 4 seconds. No, he's doing that. Then he's doing, then we've got a quick 275-pounder with quick hands coming in there, swim moves. Saw a nice rip, but, jacked him up and then ripped through him and made a nice play, at the line of scrimmage. So I think that's the on top of, having guys being able to, stay fresh as much as possible. that's the hardest thing. The center can't, and the lineman can't get in a rhythm with the type of style that they're blocking, which is a big help to. And it's important those linebackers understand who's in the game.
Yeah.
And I knew that too. Like I knew when specific linemen were in front of me in the game, defensive linemen were in front of me, because I knew there was a different style between each of them. And you have to know that as a linebacker, because you're going to know where the fits are different and how they're going to be able to play it. So I didn't really pay attention that much to how our linebackers fit when the defensive linemen were in there. But I bet if you go in there and you look, you'll see how the fits were just slightly different.
Yeah, and Kyle Lewis has been for a first-year starter, he's had a great start to the year. Before we go off here, I just want to give Quinn Moretsky a shout. He hit 3 field goals. He went 3 for 3 in field goals, a 45-yarder, career long. So I have to do research, because that's just part of me. It's in my DNA. And so the last Army kicker to make 3 field goals in a game was 2018, I believe, or 19, John Abercrombie. And he's a guy who they took off the sprint football team, and he kicked for them. So he had 3 field goals in the game, I think, against one of the MAC teams, Eastern Michigan, I think. I could be wrong. Miami of Ohio, one of those games. So Quinn Moretsky, 3 field goals. Steve, I got to ask you real quick about this, man. Cole Talley, who does kickoffs for Army, right? So I got to check Elias with this. For the second straight game, he had a kickoff go up off the upright of the goalpost for the second straight game. I mean, 16 out of 19 kickoffs he's had go for touchbacks this year so far. I mean, that's pretty that's pretty impressive. I don't know if I've ever seen that 2 straight games kickoffs off uprights either. So,
well, it's such an advantage when, unless you got a penalty and you can really like kick it high and pin them deep in their zone. But with the rules changes, with a fair catch, putting you where they need to put you, it's just such an advantage. You're taking, essentially, if you think about it, you're taking, if you break it down, offense, defense, special teams, but within those special teams, there's 2 different special teams that can hurt you significantly with returns. So you're taking that half or that quarter out of the special teams that you don't have to worry about, someone returning a kick on you. And not just that, but the momentum shift when your defense is in a groove or your offense is in a groove. I firmly, to this day, I still believe special teams are the biggest momentum shifters in the game because the people that play the majority of snaps back to back to back are not on the field. And it just can suck the wind. It can just knock, it's like getting punched in the gut. And you're powerless because, you feel like if it was a defense or the offense was out there, that wouldn't have happened. So that's why I feel like it's such a momentum shift, because the guys that are playing, consecutively back to back are off the field during that. So it's something that we don't have to worry about. I hope he I hope he tries to drive it through the uprights or hit an upright every single time, because I know, as a defensive player, and I know as a guy that played special teams I played kickoff my entire career, anytime I saw a touchback, I was like, oh, thank God, I can relax and I can just go play defense.
Absolutely. It's good to see. Now, he was the coaches picked him as the player of the week for special teams against Delaware State. We'll see if Coach Monken releases those.
He had a lot of kickoffs against Delaware State, so that makes sense.
He did, with all due respect. He had a decent amount of kickoffs, too, against UTSA. Great. Army scored. I didn't say this. Army scored on – real quick, didn't mention this. First 6 offensive drives, they scored either 3 touchdowns, 3 field goals. Steve, 6 for 6 on 4th down.
Yep.
I mean, I didn't mention I didn't touch on this. 6 for 6 on 4th down. I mean, when they didn't even go for a 4th down in the first week of the season. Delaware State, with all due respect, this is when the game really counts against UTSA. They made some big plays. Coach Monken maybe, rolled the dice a little bit on a few 4th downs. I think one was in their territory. One was at the end of the game where they could have kicked the field goal, but instead they went for the touchdown. I think Bryson Daly converted and scored. So really, really, really good stuff.
We are seeing from the Delaware State game and now this game that the trust is there both ways now, right?
Yeah.
So coaches are calling the plays, and the offense is executing the plays. I don't know what it says about the defense. The offense. The defense faced 15 minutes of offensive plays, and they let up 29 points. I don't know how much to take away from that. If it's a concern or if it's just kind of the way it goes. One was a halftime. 7 points off the halftime bomb. Then right after halftime, there was another bomb that went back to back. So
yeah, they have big plays.
3
big plays. Yeah,
or like that. But I'm not really, kind of the games just kind of go like that sometimes when it's a shootout and when the defense isn't on the field a lot, you kind of you might lose that groove or whatever, but not super concerned. I don't know if we should be concerned, but I'm not concerned about it. I think it's just kind of a product of the way the game kind of played out. At least that's my opinion.
Yeah, I had another point to make. I now it's escaped me for a second, but I mean, the 6 for 6. Oh, I want to get your take on Bryson Daly's game before we get off. How you think he played and just get your perspective on Bryson's game.
No, I mean, you can look at the stat line or whatever. I think he played very well. You obviously, put the ball where it needed to be, made a lot of good throws. Man, I thought the one throw where he was rolling right through back left was going to be bad news Bears, but squeezed it in there to Isaiah and converted. I think he played great. I think he played fearless. I think he played relaxed. I think he commanded the offense very well. I think that's what everybody expected at the beginning of the year out of a never started before quarterback, and I think now we're seeing how he's kind of commanded that offense and has got a couple of games under his belt, and he's I'm really excited from here on out. So again, Bryson, sorry I was so hard on you after the first game. It was just more of a it wasn't you specifically, but that's why you're the quarterback, man. That's why you make the big bucks.
Yeah, just the one play he had where he was being rushed by a guy from the edge and he kind of sidearmed the ball to Noah Short. I don't even know. Just a great play, and I think it moved the chains. I'm pretty sure it moved the chains. I mean, talking about Noah Short emerging a little bit as another receiver to go to. We still have Elijah Marshall that's going to make plays for this team. You still have Tyrell Robinson that's going to make plays for this team when he gets back. Man, it's looking pretty good for the Black Knights. Great win for them against UTSA. Now they go to Syracuse, the Dome, and see if they can make it 3 in a row against a very good Syracuse team. Thinking about taking the trip up there. Haven't gotten approved yet from higher powers. We'll see what happens there. But I won't mention who the higher powers are, but we really want to. We're probably going to get up there for that game. It should be a great game. Just real quick, wanted to plug our stuff on the website and our YouTube channel, guys. If you're watching this, please subscribe. Please give us a thumbs up. If you're rewatching this, send your comments in. I do read your comments. I will respond to your comments. I will give them thumbs up. So I will get back to you on that. Check out our website. Seth Mendelson's game stories up there. We have photos up there. I wrote a great story. And Steve, I really wanted to talk to you about this. Maybe we'll touch on it on another podcast. On defensive lineman Cody Winokur. He was he left West Point. He went to serve for a little bit at Fort Drum for a year and came back to the team this year. And against Delaware State, his teammates chose him to carry out the black flag for the game, which is a pretty high honor. And I wrote a story on that. It was very well received. Cody was really great with his time this week with me, about a 10-minute interview. You can find the audio interview of that on our YouTube channel. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on Apple, all the podcast platforms. If you have 10 minutes, it's worth it. I mean, really great story. And that's what it's kind of all about, Steve, right? He got a second chance, and he told me he knew he wanted to be an Army football player. He didn't want to finish his life without being an Army football player and a West Point grad. He worked to get back, and there's a program that West Point offered for him to do that and go back and kind of get on track, I guess, academically and also military. He was going to air assault training. He was doing combat saving training. I probably got the course wrong. You know better than me, but man, great story. And that's the kind of stories you're going to get at Black Knight Nation. And we really appreciate all the, we've had our websites up, our traffic's up. We're trying to get to that 1,000 followers on our YouTube with more podcasts like this. We will. Thanks to Kel Walker and Steve. Thanks to you for coming on. And we'll be back soon for the Syracuse week. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right. Beat them.